Hey y'all, it's Megan with the ZEN Succulent, and today I am in my backyard. I recently, along with my father, completely mulched not only my backyard, all of the flower beds, as well as the front yard, which our whole front landscape is actually all greenery, no grass. So in today's video, I'm thrilled to share some of the tips and tricks on mulching your landscape effortlessly. Join along. In this landscape since 2018, I have always mulched, even if I did not have as many plants in the landscape. Mulching helps to protect your yard from weeds, but it also provides nutrients to the plants when it breaks down and helps the plants continue to thrive and grow. When mulching your landscape, the type of mulch does matter. I love to use in this landscape anything that's natural as well as triple shred. I want to go first with that word natural. A lot of the mulches that are out nowadays have some sort of dye to it, whether it is to make it completely black or even red in color. Now, I have used a colored mulch in the past, and after a few simple months, that color has started to fade so drastically. Now, it wasn't worth it for me to use it again because of the fact that it fades pretty quickly, as well as what that dye, when it fades, might leach into my living landscape. So I decided to give it a pass. The next part of that phrase is the triple shred. Triple shred mulch is the premium of the premium mulch because it is mixed and turned and shredded 3 times. By having it churned so much, that allows me to have that nice fluffy mulch, but is also going to be easier for my landscape to break down over time. I would recommend triple shred mulch to everyone when you're having your services mulch, or if you're doing it yourself like I'm doing today. The average mulch that you might see out there in bags might be mulched only once or twice. By it being mulched only once or twice, what you'll notice is larger pieces of bark, larger pieces of debris in it that you will have to sift out yourself. If you happen to see any large pieces of debris or bark or pieces of wood in your mulch, no matter what type of mulch you use, make sure to sift those out. They're going to be harder to break down over time, so you might as well remove them from your landscape altogether and maybe put them in your compost pile. My biggest tip when it comes to mulching is find the best mulch at the best price for you. You can buy mulch at a variety of different places, from a landscaper bringing it to you, to picking it up at a big mulch center, or even getting it bagged at a Lowe's or Home Depot or any of your local garden centers. What I have to recommend is see how much exact mulch you will need for your landscape and purchase what is needed. And only purchase what is needed. Everyone knows mulch can be extremely expensive. You can have it brought to you at a certain fee plus the cost of the mulch, or you can pick it up already pre-bagged per cubic yard. Buying bags of mulch, depending on the price, they could start at around $3.50, $4 and go on up depending on the grade of mulch if you're buying them bagged. You want to calculate how much that might be. For this landscape, I use 2 yards, which is 1 truckload that filled up the back of my father's pickup. If I were to purchase that same amount from a large box store pre-bagged, instead of paying the price that I did, I would have been paying 10 times as much. So it was best for me to pick it up myself and do the mulching. To mulch my entire landscape, it costs only $56. Mind you, that's with me picking it up myself and transporting it and bringing it back to the landscape. If I was purchasing the mulch to bring it to me, I would have had to pay a minimum of 5 yards and compared to the 2 yards that my landscape needed. So I would have had 3 extra yards that would have been no good, that I might have to store some other place or give to neighbors. Also, if you were to purchase mulch from a landscaper and they brought it to you, that might cost an additional fee. In my area of Durham, North Carolina, that ranged anywhere between $75 to $150 at the variety of different landscaping and mulching companies. So I not only saved on cost, but I also had some great mulch that was put down in my yard. Having the right set of tools is essential to make this job go effortlessly. Having the right set of tools will help you not only pick up the mulch and take it into your landscape, but also edging it up and beautifying it to look its best as if it's professionally done. I'm going to be sharing all 4 tools that I used that made this job go effortlessly. The first tool that I used is this Spade Shovel. Now you might be thinking, is this what she used to take everything out of the truck bed or move the mulch around? It is not. This is what I used to edge the beds. By edging the beds, it allowed the mulch to set in beautifully, and it allows a nice crisp edge to the landscape as if it's professionally done. By edging these beds, it took me a little bit of time, but it drastically saved me when it comes to just throwing the mulch into the bed and it running to the edge that was created by this spade. Now this tool, some of you all might recognize, because this is what you use to actually take the mulch out of your wheelbarrow, out of the truck bed to get your job started. This is a pitchfork. And something about this pitchfork, it was essential to not only help with maneuvering the mulch on the truck bed as we made our way to this area, but it also helps with taking all of the mulch out. The reason why I like to use this instead of a shovel is because this rake adds just so much. You can pick so much up with just one heave. And for those of us know during the mulching process, when it makes your job easier and you're not putting as much energy, you really don't feel as spent so quickly or at all. Something also about this is that it helps keep the air in the mulch. So you'll have that nice fluffy appearance for many, many weeks and months to come. Next, I use this rake known as a leveling rake to, of course, level the mulch once it was put down in the landscape. A leveling rake is perfect to use instead of you getting on your hands and knees to move the mulch around. If you have a large space, you can just level it and move it where it needs to go. The best way to use a leveling mulch is to actually go as parallel to the ground as possible. This way allows you to level your landscape without having the issue that you might have of pulling up dirt or any leaves that might be underneath. The final tool that I use is this handy broom. I picked it up at a local hardware store, and this is just so perfect to not only sweep my outdoor spaces like my patio as well as my porches, but this is perfect to remove any mulch from the edge of the bed that might have spilled over during that mulching process. You can just sweep the necessary items into place and it will make your landscape again look like it's professionally done. A few other tools that might come handy but aren't necessary are a wheelbarrow and a bucket. A bucket like this bucket, that's an older growth container that I am saving, is perfect to scoop in some mulch and then also to spread it gently in those harder to reach areas. For the planting bed, a pro tip is to start off at the front of your planting bed and then work your way to the back. You're able to know how much mulch that you have and kind of make sure that everything is nice and tidy at the front of your bed to start off with. So right here in this area is my annual tulip bed. Now it's looking a little sad right now because we did have some snow that comes, so it kind of frilled some of, or browned some of the edges of the tulip. But as long as the tulips did not bloom, they're going to be perfectly fine. So what I'm going to do is being extra careful in this area because I want these plants to continue to come up and have a great show in the spring and throughout the summer. I'm going to make sure to lightly layer mulch in this area. So First, in order to clean up this bed to begin mulching, I'm going to take out any sticks and kind of toss them over to the side to clean up later. And also any grasses that I have, this was from me edging this bed, so I'm just gonna move those over to the side as well. Now when I'm adding this layer of mulch, again, it's gonna be thin, so probably about a half of an inch to an inch is what I'm gonna need in this area. Mind you, you see some mulch already because this has been mulched. There has been leaves put on top of this to cover it for the winter, so we're gonna be all good. Now my mulching method for this is honestly just going to be this kind of method of rubbing together mulch and kind of letting it easily come through. That ensures the thinnest layer as possible. Since we have Archer here, let's talk about pets. If you happen to have a pet, please make sure not to mulch the run that your pet might have in the backyard. That's the constant pattern that they follow when they're jumping out of the front or the back door. If you mulch that area, you are going to get a muddy mess when rain comes, or if you just, it's not going to look as pretty. So make sure that you do not mulch that area. What I like to do, since I made that mistake of mulching the area, I simply used my broom and I pulled the mulch back to where that run stops. And finally, make sure you know which plants in your landscape you can be a little bit more rougher on. I made the mistake with this cherry yuzu that I was just way too rough mulching around, which resulted in a lot of leaves, a lot of limbs being left behind that I have to scrap, as well as that means that there's going to be fewer blooms in the spring. Well, thanks everyone for following me along as I gave you some pro tips that I used for mulching my landscape. Continue to like and follow for a variety of different plant videos, from indoors to outdoors like we did today. I'm looking forward to seeing you all next time.